Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. Quick second, I just want to say thank you to all the channel members. I appreciate you all more than you know. And thank you for anybody who's coming through to check out the knife and EDC content. I really do appreciate you. If you're so inclined and you haven't had a chance yet, if you'd hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon down there, it would really help me out. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and it's very subjective. So before I even get into this, everybody likes and thinks of detent as different things, right? What I've done is I've kind of gone through my collection, looking at all the knives that I think I brought in to the collection as of 2023, as of right now, and have kind of looked at them based on the detents that I like, that are snappy, not too strong, but something about them just really worked for me. For example, last year, the Jaeger M was probably my favorite detent. Before that, year before, it was probably the Liang Ma Field Duty EDC, which is still one of my top knives, probably my top knife. What I wanted to do is just count down 10 knives, and I don't know if they're actually 10, but starting with this, the EMP EDC Ronin of all knives. I think this knife, for me, for my hand, has a fantastic middle finger flip detent. I also commend it on its top flipper, which I do not like top flippers, as you guys know. But the lock bar access for this knife is so good. The flick is so, to me, satisfying. And if you like that front finger flick, it's done very well, where the leverage keeps you from failing your deployment. So this is going to be number 10. We're going to count down from 10 to 1, but I can tell you, in my honest opinion, all these knives that are from my collection have great detents. Starting out with the EMP EDC Ronin. Moving on, we come to a knife that's not my normal jam. When I got this knife in, it had carbon fiber scales. I have fallen in love with this knife and this designer, maker. This is the Mr. Designs Cipher. It's a very thin knife. It's a Tanto. They also make it in a drop point, the Cipher D. But the only way you can deploy this knife is a flipper, which for the longest time, I'd sworn off flipper-only knives. However, this knife, because of this low profile flipper, and I guess the way it's mounted in relationship to the pivot and also the lightness of this blade, it is very snappy. It's a very pleasing flipper knife. There are only a few knives in my collection that are flipper only knives. And since I found out and discovered this brand, this knife, the Cipher D, I've picked up another flipper only knife, the Zero, which is a button lock. The detent's not as snappy as on this, but it's pleasing in a different way. But I wanted to talk about the knives that I felt like got the top spots for detents, deployments, i.e. that I like, and the Cipher D definitely hits the mark. So we'll call it number 9 and we'll move on. Number 8 is a knife that just recently came in. This is a knife I unboxed a couple of days ago. And it's the Quiet Carry Drift. The Quiet Carry 9 has been one of my biggest surprises for 2023. I love that knife. That knife should be in this list as well. But I tried to kind of spread it out and look for detents that were just super snappy. And this little drift, I've been amazed not only at its thinness, at its ergos for my hand, but for its snappy deployment. You guys know I hate a thumb flick. This knife thumb flicks without even thinking about it. The studs are done so well, and then the reverse flick is cash money. The detent is pleasing, it's crisp, snappy. and just really hit the mark. And I wanted to put it in this list because, again, it's very subjective. It's the things that I really like in Detents, which may be different than what some of you guys like. But this is a winner, guys. The Quiet Carry Drift, and I picked this up very, very recently, and I've been really impressed with it. But I think it's number 8. So going to number 7, this is one of the stiffer Detents in the group. But very, very well tuned. This is one of Ware Knives, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be, first production knives. He's a custom maker that I've followed for a really long time, and this is the AliP. The Ali is one of his custom knives. The AliP is a collaboration he did with, I want to say, Best Tech to make this knife. It's an M390 hollow ground frame lock, titanium. I picked out the raw titanium. You could have also gotten it with a micarta inlay, but it is snappy. It's a smaller knife, but it's a knife that whether you thumb flick it or reverse finger flick it on the studs, it just flies open. And I think it's just a great little specimen. Lock bar access is fantastic on it, so you can kind of play with it for hours and not wear yourself out. But that is the AliP by Ware Knives. Moving on, we come to a fantastic knife. I think these are either back in stock at Bergblades or they're getting ready to do another drop of them. But this is the Bergblades Sweeney. This is a knife that's designed by Bergblades and manufactured by Riot. It's kind of like a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in size, kind of blade length. You know, the blade's not as tall, of course, but I think of it as kind of a long, angular, very, very sharp, slicey, I want to say Elmax blade, micarta, and I love this stonewash tumbled titanium. Guys, the deployment on this knife, if you're a middle finger flicker, is cash money. I know Lefty, who's a left-handed guy, really liked this knife. He didn't seem to have problems with it lefty. And again, the top flipper, which I hate top flippers. I shouldn't even be talking about it, but it works so well. I don't do fancy stuff with my top flippers. And for this knife, my finger falls right into that hole and it just flies out. The Bergblades Sweeney is a win. I saw on Brother Jared Neves' channel that they've just come out with a mini, or they're getting ready to. I think this knife for me is a perfect size. I don't know if I'll line up for the mini, but I'll tell you, it's one that's going to really interest me because the detent on this one is so good. And this is the Bergblades Sweeney. I think it came in at number 6, we'll say. So that brings us to number 5. And guys, you might have to correct me on this one, but this is the GOM, the God of Mischief, Renegade Provisions. I think I got this knife at the beginning of this year. If I didn't, if I got it at the end of last year, I should pull the Quiet Carry 9 in here. But I do think this is, for me, was, because I didn't get it on the pre-order, was a 2023 knife. This knife has... A lot of people complain, and it's understandable because you can see my nail under this ridge, about this sharp deployment slot because it does grab your nail. But that also makes the knife, for me, a fail-safe deployer and a knife that just snaps open. You guys can hear it. It's got a front flipper, which I hate, but it's a front flipper that it's not going to let you fail it because the detent is so crisp. I think this is probably done as well as any that I've got in the collection. However, the 4 that are about to come before just seem, or after this, seem to be a little snappier. But the God of Mischief, Renegade Provisions, we'll call it number 5, I think, which brings us to number 4. Another one of the most impressive surprises I've gotten this year, and the best Wii knife I've ever bought. And this is the Nefis. I think I saw a video on Jared Neves' channel that made me even take notice of this knife, because I don't pay a lot of attention to Wii's. But first thing you notice is you got this low profile flipper. Got this really thin, large, Bowie kind of clip point blade This is a full-size knife, guys. I'll line all these up when we finish up, but this is definitely a full-size knife. However, it's got the best action. I want you to listen to that. Snap. I think one of Jared's nitpicks was he wished it had a larger stop pin because it makes so much clank when it hits it. Get it up here, flip away from my face. I don't know if y'all can hear that better. But probably as snappy as any, but not quite as pleasurable as the X3. Great, great knife. One of the ones that really impressed me this year. 20 CV blade, titanium handle. I think they made it in a couple of different configurations. Very well done lock bar, flipper tab, and a deployment hole. Just a snappy knife, and one of my best detents of 2023. But again, detent is subjective. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just sharing my experiences with you guys because I love you. Which brings me to number 3. And this knife could just as easily be number 1. This is the Wu Padre. Another front flipper. I hate fucking front flippers. However, this one, and if I start bleeding, it's because I just nicked my finger, but I don't know if I got it enough to bleed. So, if you're just a front flipper only guy, because of the way that this corner is angled, you've got great jimping there that comes actually up to this last point. There's a little sharp grabber there. So anywhere that you grab it here from the pivot up, it's going to deploy. However, where this knife shines, in my opinion, is the reverse flick. The hole is so well tailored. It's small. You've got sharp edges. I can grab it here in front of the hole. I can grab it up here at the top of the hole. I can grab it at the middle of the hole. Anywhere I go, and this knife deploys with authority because this top flipper is so well integrated, it's not going to hit your finger. And listen to this detent. Wu Padre. I've messaged them on every Django or Django post and said, please, I have 2 X-Locks. I've got the Wu Tau X and I've got the Pulsar. Both great knives. But the detent, in my humble opinion, is not even in the same ballpark as the Padre or my Big Tau. So I have asked them, not that they care what I ask, but please make the Django in a frame lot. Their frame lots, guys, are as good as any I've heard. So that's the Wu Padre coming in at number 3, which brings us to some of the best detent knives, the best knives of 2023 that'll show up again before the end of the year. But the McNeese Mac 2 3.5 is an absolute banger. Whether you're a thumb stud guy or gal, middle finger flicker guy or gal, this knife is tuned to perfection. It's got a wonderful lock bar access. It's got such a good tuned detent. I put skiffs in it, but it had drop shut action before. But look at that detent. Guys, the McNeese Mac 2 3.5, I don't know why it took me so long to grab one of these. They're made in my home state here of Alabama, and I just adore the detent on this knife. So coming in at number 2, almost number 1, could be number 1. The top last 5 could be number 1. But for me personally, when I have to break them down, the Mac 2 from McNeese is going to be number 2, which brings us to our number 1 detent knife. No big surprise. I know you guys knew this was going to be it. If not, I'm here to solidify the fact that this might change tomorrow because I've got a banger coming in, but I don't have anything that, to me, feels like my SPK Lamia. the detent on this crewware knife, it's a middle finger or a thumb flicker knife. I don't like thumb flicking, as you guys know. Whoops. It'll flick out with the thumb, but I'm just much easier. I'll put pressure on the lock bar when I try to thumb flick it. But guys, this knife, from any angle, it's just got money detent. I love it. I think it's tuned fantastically well. Cuts like a dream, and has great detent, guys. So we've got number 5, our Lamia. Oh, excuse me, number 1, number 2. We've got our Nefis, number 3. We've got our Wu Padre, number 4, I believe, was our God of Mischief. Number 5, if I'm not mistaken, was our Sweeney. We can go back and watch it, guys, if I'm jacking it up. And then number 6, no, I did jack it up. They're out of order. They're out of order. Because I see where I set the Wu Nefis, which is actually higher in the detent list, but it's a bigger knife. That's why I set it up there. And then we had the AliP, which is a much smaller knife. The Quiet Carry Drift. Mr. Cipher D. EMP EDC Ronin. And again, those are just my top 10 for 2023, guys, and detents. I hope you found this video somehow entertaining, informative. You know, I was just trying to come up with something cool, and I know detent's something that I like. A lot of people don't. So I made a video about it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I appreciate you all for taking the time to check it out. All I ask is you'll please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. And please choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.